Peace, blessings, and love to each and every one of you. Again, it's Brother Shelton with Ministries of Righteousness. It is the first Friday of the month where we do Finance Fridays for our finance ministry. I just want to begin with an apology that I apologize that I missed last month. March was a roller coaster ride, and I'm just thankful to come off it, as it was definitely a challenging month. Seems like I was on a roller coaster ride that just kept me going through the loops. If you ever been on a roller coaster that had multiple loops, it felt like I was going through one of those rough roller coaster rides where we hit about 10 loops back to back to back. That's how challenging the month of March was. But by the grace of God, by the Holy Creator, I'm still here to do my mission, to do the work that I've been called to do. So as I begin today, I just want to begin, as we've been on the lines of that, hey, my people perish, my people are going to captivity, my people are destroyed because they have a lack of knowledge or because they have no knowledge. Here we like to bring knowledge to enlighten and to share the truth that hopefully will set you free. We start the finance ministry to give you financial tips, to provide financial literacy, and also to financially enlighten you with things you may or may not know that can help you ultimately achieve financial freedom and live, hopefully, as free as possible in a world where there are many things that keeps us enslaved to this evil system of how things are done. So today, I'm going to begin giving you a few tax tips, as it is tax season in America. And around the corner, it's April 18th, slowly approaching, or fastly approaching in the next few weeks, which is the tax deadline for personal income tax. And every year I get clients, sometimes the same clients, that I always have to file an extension for, hopefully to extend, their time to file. One of the biggest misunderstandings about an extension is that many people often believe that an extension gives you time to pay. It doesn't extend time to pay if you owe the IRS. It only extends the time to file, gives you an automatic 6-month extension, which normally falls around October 15th. So you have an extra 6 months to file your taxes. However, if you owe, you don't get an extension to pay, which means from the time you owe, which is the day after the deadline, which this year would be April 19th, interest starts to accumulate from that point up until the time you pay everything in full if you owe. So you don't get an extension of time to pay. You only get an extension for time to file, and that's it. And if you owe, interest starts the day after midnight, right after the deadline. That's how it's set up. But we as the people, we don't have to accept those things. We can always fight for our rights and go make change. Try to change these crooked, corrupt politicians that will change policies that'll work for the people and not work against the people. Because these policies that we're forced to have to adhere to and basically follow doesn't work for the people. It actually only works for corporations and those people in positions of authority and in power most of the time. So I just wanted to give you that quick tip. A tax extension does not give you time to pay if you owe. And if you don't owe, the deadline does not necessarily apply to you, because You don't owe anything if you're getting a refund. It usually only applies to those that owe. That's like one of those things they don't tell you. Another tax tip is that you may not understand or you may not know is that you only have 3 years to claim your refund. So for example, we're in 2022, but we're doing 2021's taxes in 2022. So tax year 2021, tax year 2020, tax year 2019, that's 3 tax years. So you only got those 3 years to claim your refund. Therefore, if you don't claim your refund, if you have one in those 3 years, then you lose it. You don't get a refund. The only thing you would get would be a credit on your tax account. That's why don't delay filing your taxes. Many people let time pass year after year. I've gotten clients in the past that has come to me that I had one client 1 year hadn't filed their taxes in 10 years. I had another client hadn't filed their taxes in 7 years. And on some of those years, they actually got refunds, but because it was after the 3-year time period, they didn't get the refund. It was just applied to their tax account as a credit, which for any future tax obligations they may have, that would count against that and reduce that tax liability. So you got 3 years to claim your refund. So don't procrastinate. I know for many people, when it gets to tax time, they hate it. They hate doing it. But you know, you have folks like myself. I'm 30 years in the accounting profession. So I'm very, very knowledgeable about the ins and outs, the details, the laws, and everything else surrounding tax, accounting, financial, education, things of that nature. So you can always contact us. Our information will be posted at the end of this video. So I just wanted to let you know those things. I'm not going to take too long today. As we move forward, again, I like to educate. I like to bring financial literacy, financial enlightenment. One of the largest debts that the American public has is mortgage debt. Previously, I was explaining how we are generally slaves to debt, slaves to D-E-B-T. The national American mortgage debt at this very moment is $17 trillion. That's what the worth of all the outstanding mortgages are right now in America. And how does that work? The banks loan the public money at one interest rate that they generally borrow from the Fed, known as the Federal Reserve Bank, which, by the way, there's nothing federal about the Federal Reserve Bank. The government does not own the Federal Reserve Bank. These private bankers own the Federal Reserve Bank. That is called the United States Centralized Banking System. That was implemented way back in the early 1900s. I'm going to give you some details in another session. But getting back to the $17 trillion mortgage debt, that's how much the mortgage debt is. 17 trillion, as I was saying. Banks loan the money at one interest rate to the public, and they borrow at a lower interest rate from what is called the Fed, or Federal Reserve Bank. So therefore, there's always debt. That's how they keep us enslaved to debt. Just think about that. $17 trillion in mortgage debt. There's a principle in the scripture in the Old Testament, and I believe it's in Proverbs, if I'm correctly quoting, that states the borrower is the slave to the lender. The borrower is the slave to the lender. That's part of the deception, keeping us a slave to debt. Now I realize many folks get excited about purchasing a home. I did too when I first purchased a home years ago. Took out a mortgage, and that seemed like the thing to do. It's convenient, but generally you become a slave to that house for about 30 years. Most people take out a 30-year conventional loan, which makes you a debt to that house, a slave debt to that house, 30 years. Very few people can afford a 15-year mortgage, which you have a higher payment, monthly payment, but you pay half the interest. So you're saving money if you can afford to, but not too many people are in a financial position to pay a higher mortgage monthly payment. So they go 30 years to pay less, but they pay more in interest. So that's how they get us. The oldest game in the world is possessing land. This whole war right now in Ukraine, just like the wars of the past, has nothing to do generally with nations fighting against nations. It's basically about greed. It's about taking the land. That's been happening since the beginning of time, taking the land. Even the Bible, when you understand the Bible and interpret it right, you realize that a lot of the Bible, a lot of it, especially the Old Testament, has everything to do with possessing land, taking land, often taking land that is not yours, to where other people already are inhabiting the land, just like here in America. They came and take the land from the Native Americans. That's kind of been the norm. So if you can get the land, then guess what? You don't have to be a slave to the mortgage. If you can find you some land, save your money, buy you some land, and then you can decide how you want to build your property. You can buy you some blueprints, or you can self-construct, self-contract if you have that type of knowledge. Or if you have people often in your family that does that type of work, there's different ways you can go about it to where in the end, the bank does not own your home. You own your home once your home is completely constructed. Most of us do the mortgage route because it's very simple, and you don't basically have to go through all of that trying to search for land. You don't have to go through all of that process of trying to find someone to construct it for you. So we go the lazy route, as I call it. We go the lazy route, and all we do is try to boost up a credit score. Again, one of my previous messages, I was explaining how do you really need a credit score to live? Is your life based around a credit score? That's part of the game they have many of us tricked into believing. But not to go off subject, the mortgage, we go that route. $17 trillion worth of mortgage debt. That's a lot of people. Slaves to these mortgages, slaves to these banks, which makes these banks a slave to the Fed, because They got to pay the Fed back, and we got to pay the bank back. So I just wanted to try to give you some enlightenment on that. Maybe that'll help you make some better financial decisions, that if you can go possess the land. Our youngest son is graduating from high school this year. And once he graduates, me and my wife, we're going to move forward with our retirement plans, as far as what we decided to set up, how to live later in life, to be as free from being a slave to this system as possible. So our son graduates, and we're ready to start in our next stage of our life, getting to that place of being as free from this grid as possible. Get some land, people. Possess you some land. Do it the right way. Don't do it like these crooks and these evil governments, like they're doing in Ukraine. Russia basically want the land from Ukraine. Don't want to let these people be at peace. Blowing up people, residences, blowing up buildings, killing innocent people, children, women, just innocent people. Just think about that. That is the current world we live in. I never thought I would see this in my lifetime again. But again, it just shows you that history repeats itself. It's just the same old game, just a different year. Different year, same game. That's all it is. We got to get wise, people. We have to wake up. We, the people, when we rise together as one people, one population, and we can put all this foolishness behind us, like racism, like being concerned about, well, you know, you're white, you're black, Asian, whatever, then we win. Because it's more of us as people than the few that basically been keeping us in a spell, keeping the con on us. Like I said, $17 trillion mortgage debt in America. If you can do it the right way, possess you some land, buy you some land. Try to buy you some land where you can buy the mineral rights, although it's very difficult to find any land these days that they'll sell you the mineral rights as well as the surface rights. Very hard these days, because over the years they figured out that there could be some very valuable minerals like oil and gold and natural gas and all of these things on the land, beneath the land. So often when you buy land, they don't sell you the mineral rights or the subsurface rights. They only sell you the surface rights. And the other thing is, if you choose to go the mortgage route, try to do a 15-year conventional fixed rate loan. Stay away from these balloon loans. Stay away from these variable loans, because that's where they trick you. That's where they're con. If you can lock in an interest rate at one rate, lock it in, because that'll be your rate you pay for the life of the loan. Again, I'm not advising to do that. I'm advising for you to go and possess some land. Buy you some land. That way it's yours. It's your land. You buy it outright, and you can do whatever you want to do on your own land. And you won't be a slave to the lender. I just wanted to give you that financial tip. Until next time, I'm Brother Shelton, Ministries of Righteousness. We pray for peace, prosperity for each and every one of you, and that you allow the great Creator, the Creator that created everything that exists in this entire universe and beyond, that you allow that Spirit to lead you the right way, and that we come together, we rise together, and we fight these evils, and the rest will be history. But if we don't fight these evil, gas will continue to skyrocket. It's already then triple the price. I never thought I would be paying $4 for some gas, especially here in Texas, where this is probably the oil capital, definitely the oil capital of the United States and one of the oil capitals of the world. Paying $4 for a gallon of gas. Just think about that, people. We are allowing this government and all these authorities to pimp us and force us to pay $4+ for some gas on average. That's ridiculous. If that's not enough to wake us all up, I don't know what else will wake us up. We don't have to take it. We really don't. We have power within. The power is unity. There's strength in numbers, like the Golden State Warriors slogan was when they won their championships. Strength in numbers. We are the numbers. When we unite as people, they don't stand a chance against us. Okay? And I'm not saying let's go get violent or anything like that. If we fight with this, we got all the power in our hands. They got us under a spell thinking we need to follow whatever they say. And we don't. We control the economy. It's our spending why they get wealthy. It's with our spending. Until you wake up and realize that, you're going to take whatever they throw at us. Transportation goes up. Everything goes up. Gas goes up. Everything goes up. Why? Because everything you need on a regular basis requires transport. How does it get from one location to the other? So they make transportation go up, then everything else you buy goes up. So it just takes a domino effect. So let's come together. It's Brother Shelton, Finance Friday. Until next time, have a blessed life and continuously pray. And God bless you all.